we always do is we do our homework. But before introducing our guests, I like to have a important message right at the start of the show, right? And this is something that Sandeep also encouraged me to come speak my heart about. It's the Manipur conundrum, and we obviously we think of them as a state which produce footballers, Olympics, and that's when the state really comes into focus, right? But beyond that, there are plenty of honest, hardworking men and women who have their livelihoods, and it's been absolutely torn apart, right? And we have to stop thinking of them as just, you know, it's just a state that produces a lot of sports people, right? There are much more there's much more nuance to that. The two communities who are at each other's throats, and it's not just the footballers. Of course, Sana Singh came out and spoke about, his life's work being destroyed, his stuff. But it's not just them, it's my brothers at the Taida Academy Bishnupur who literally put every cent they had into building an English school for their children, into building a sustainable future, right? It's my brothers in Ukrul who dream of, making it big, like, and brothers and sisters like the Hormepam Ruivas and the Somatai Shaizas, right? So I mean, it's and I know it's very easy to sit here and, and I'm been super worried because, the internet's locked down and everything, and I understand there's a lot of anger online, but there's not much else, right? And it seems like we've left them to fend for themselves, and um, this attitude of othering that we have has to stop. That's my only thing, right? They're as much part of us as any other state, right? And uh, sometimes, and being former media person, like three former media persons here, sometimes it can slip out of focus because it's such a large country, so many things to cover. But we have to keep Manipur in our thoughts, guys, because I mean, what's happening there is like, and one person aptly described, one person who ran away from Imphal told me, like, we don't know what Manipur will be getting back to, right? It's never going to be the same again, right? And I know there's been a lot of whataboutery saying there's been an economic blockade before and all of that, but nothing of this sort, nothing of that has happened here. That this is absolute carnage, right? One video does not do justice to the entire. And please don't share videos. It's extremely triggering. It's extremely disturbing. Do not share videos. Do not share fake news without verifying it. In fact, it was a piece of fake news which triggered that the whole scene, and it's, what do I say, right? And this is the same reaction that we had after the day that we announced, that a member of AFF had been caught doing what he has been caught doing. There are things beyond sport. Football is just sport. That's it. Like, that's, it's not. There are much more things that are important, right? And having said that, I'd like to introduce Sandeep Menon. Hi, Sandeep.
Hello. In fact, it's well said about Manipur. I just got a message today from one of the people that I know over there. I had sent a message maybe a week ago. He just got some internet in some government building, and he sent me a response saying he's all right, but shaken. So yeah, having covered football, we do have a lot of people who are from Manipur. So that's also some part of it, which is why I encouraged him to say what he wanted to say.
Yeah, and we've met a lot of people there. I go there almost every year, right? Met a lot of people there who are not into football also, right? Who have nothing to do with the sport, right? Who are just there. They're very nice, homely, friendly people, and we don't know if they'll be there. That that disturbs me and scares me to a great extent. We don't know if they're still there, right? We don't know if they'll the same people will be there. So it's an extremely distressing time, especially if you're super connected. And as one of the friends of this pod and one of our mutual friends said, being a tribal, you fear for your safety. She tweeted it out. Very brave of her. Very prominent figure in Indian football. So uh, Yeah, I mean, she's absolutely there. She hit the nail on the head, right? Right, and I can only say it's the collapse of the fourth estate. I like as much it pains to say it. It's definitely if the EU is speaking about it and we are not, then there's something seriously wrong about us. Having said that, I'd like to introduce Abreshmina Kadri. Hi, Abreshmina. Welcome back to the pod. How have you been?
Good, and honestly, I just wanted to add one thing to everything you were saying about Manipur, which was like so apt and so well put. Um, when we talk about the pride that we as Indians have in the vibrant culture of the country, uh, Manipur is a massive part of it. So it's very important for us to understand that as a country as well. And like you mentioned, yes, the fact that news is getting out of Manipur after so long regarding everything and anything is something that perhaps journalists need to really look at.
Okay, now we have addressed that. Let's focus a little bit more on what the pod is all about. This week has been massive for Indian football fan from the sense that so many news have broken about ISL and about the I League and some sort of confusion about what is happening. So we thought we would shed some light on things as much as we can at the moment because things are very fluid and ever changing. But within the restrictions that we can, we thought we will try to help. So do you want me to start or go or?
I think I like to start with the I League bids. I think
Sure,
because
sure.
there's a lot of fanfare and rejoicing around that, but seems to have dented a bit because I mean, and the FCBU news is out. Like there's no point. I mean, hiding it anymore. I suppose it's been reported, and what's not been reported is another club also amongst the ones that potentially may not follow up on the bid, and coupled with Bunker Hill's uh, takeover of Mohammedan, that means only two bids, right? Will essentially are still in the running. Intakashi, we know, are very super interested. They have like full fledged social media and all of that. So, I just like to just add one point here, right? None of these clubs have been given an easy time before joining, right? Ideally in this climate, recession and whatnot, and post COVID, we should be just folded hands, encouraging whoever passes the due diligence test. And passing due diligence test is important so that they don't, what do you say, they don't shut down uh, by within few years. But no one's made it easy, made easy for them, right? So uh, and like immediately as soon as these clubs came in, there were multiple vultures, right? There were multiple things demanded of them. It wasn't easy. It wasn't easy, and you could see the frustration increasing in a lot of quarters also, right? And I mean, there's only so much that people will put up with, right? So having said that, like I said, it's not a surprise because a of how long drawn out the process has been, and b uh, how difficult it has been, right? And Rohit was saying before bidding the new year to pay AFF, so why backing now? It's not just paying AFF, right? First of all, the amount is not a small amount, right? If you there are ISL teams who struggle to recoup that amount. Not kidding. And what returns there for somebody in the I League? The only carrot is the promotion angle to the ISL. So yeah, I mean, I'm not surprised. Like I'm not surprised that all of this is coming out.
Yeah. So here is the like a lot of people have asked me on Twitter also about the FCB situation. It seems the whole news is going towards the fact that they are probably not playing in the I League. I will personally not confirm this because I have not personally been able to get anyone from the club or from AIFF to confirm this. But having said that, I'll put some garnish on the whole thing, right? So let's look at it from the point of view that I League, they bid on a conditional basis. They did not bid, say, the A League bid was originally, as per AIFF's rule, 5 crore upfront and then 2.5 CR for, I think, 4 years. Yeah, I think 4 years. So that was the initial plan that they had for corporate entry. And it is on record, I think, has been reported that FCBU themselves has said we will do the 5 crore plus 50 lakhs towards development and football activity and structure or something to that effect. Football development, essentially. That was the idea that they came up with. So that was their bid as per what was written. And then similarly, also other teams have all bid. Now, the situation here is that uh, AIFF can always say, in the end of the day, you did not meet the requirement that we wanted to ask. I mean, we put forth. This was what we wanted. You came with this. We were okay saying, okay, everything else is fine, but the final decision could be with them. And if they allow FCBU any sort of like leeway in this, then they have to allow other teams other leeways also, and that will open a whole new can of worms. So this is one side. From the other side, it's not so much about FCBU per se, that if they don't want to go in, it's fair, because the investment that they are going to put in, as per AIF demand, is 5 crore, and then over a period of time they will end up spending another 10 crore. Then the teams, then the travel, operational cost, everything. All of this means a lot of money is going to be spent on that team, and there is no schedule so far. We don't know the telecast details yet. So these clubs can't even go to a sponsor and say, please come and pay us, because we will give you sponsorship and we will give you visibility, because they don't know. It might end up like Duran Cup, for example, is and ended up in a very good network in terms of visibility. So it might be that I League will end up in a very good network, maybe even Sony or somebody like that. But at the moment, they can't do this. There is also, from what I understand, a little bit of a push to have most of the matches under floodlights, and that will obviously drive up the cost of production from the teams and all those things. So having said this, the carrot, like Orko mentioned, was always get you can get into the ISL. ISL has just come out and said they are under loss. We have known for years that teams are under loss. Parth Jindal had put out an open letter before. Varun Tripuneni recently had to, talk about the situation from a Hyderabad point of view after Manola said the players are not paid at the end. So there was a lot of issues in ISL as well. So you are going to spend a lot of money to be in I League, with the carrot that you are going to a higher league where there is still losses. So if I understand the trepidation that these clubs are having in terms of why would they want to put 10, 15, 20 crores, 30 crores into a team over, I don't know how many ever years they want to do it. So there is some issue of this being an attractive situation also. And I just wanted to lay out all of this because I didn't want to particularly say one thing about FCBU or one thing about the TVS group or another thing about Interkashi. People who want to invest are free to invest and they should invest. But if somebody is having second thoughts, I think there is some amount of leeway to it, because I saw a lot of people saying FCBU bottled it. And all. It's not even confirmed that they have decided to walk out of the bid or AFF has rejected their bid. None of this is confirmed. So I'm just putting these things in the air. This is not in particular with any one team or the other, just to give an overall picture of what an investor into football is looking at when what his potential returns are. We'll talk more about ISL in the next round, but this is one part. And then this year specifically, that there is a lot more challenge because Trau, Neroka, Aizol, three teams, probably they have two of them I know have gone and said they cannot play home games. Obviously, they can't. There is problem now spreading to Mizoram also. So you have three teams immediately who are out of their home ground. They, if they want to play, they'll have to play in some other venue and things like that. So there is that added issue, and there is demands of a better production and better facilities also from AIFF. And if you want to rejig the whole format, you
Hmm.
need that amount of teams. If you
Neroka
don't,
Neroka just pulled out of Duran Cup, not citing problems with Rome, but citing financial troubles. Actually,
yeah,
it's very
another thing
important.
that is,
That reason is important.
yeah, another interesting thing which now you brought up, Neroka, Rajasthan United, Trau, Aizol, these are all community clubs in some sense. they are owned by one owner, but they don't have that much of a investment or back financial backing. So it's always a challenge for them. This year is especially challenging. So I think I League format change and everything will depend on how many people are going to be there at the end of the day to play the league, and then they'll have to decide. And now it's a second division league also. There's no AFC spot also for them. So what really is the incentive for new clubs to come in if they don't see a growth pathway is a question that I keep hearing repeatedly from different sources in the community. Have you have anything to add?
I think you guys pretty much mentioned everything. We have to understand that, like you mentioned, actually, that is exactly what I was really going to say. That given that some of these clubs are community clubs, it is very important for us to understand that their financial situation is also affected by whatever is happening in the community. So, how much disposable income people have, how much people are going to be able to, contribute, how many people are going to be able to come to watch the games. All of these are massive factors for them in terms of finance. So, yeah, I mean, given if there's a requirement for better facilities, if there's a requirement for, improved stadiums, so these are all factors that become difficult for smaller clubs to operate with. As much as I also understand the request, because given it, all of us want a better quality of production as a viewer and all of that. So I do understand the requirement in terms of, honestly, why AFF is also putting it through. But then for smaller clubs it becomes a problem. It's just a vicious cycle that we, at this point in time at least, where Indian football stands, it is something that we are going to have to deal with in the coming years.
Now, Roshan has asked, how is it possible the clubs give bids, all get entry, and now the clubs are getting problems? So, personally, there is no official confirmation or anything. Personally, I think the wording of the first, when they said 5 clubs have been accepted, is probably either misinterpreted or maybe misrepresented in some sense. 5 bids were okay, they were wanting to proceed, but there was still a mandate to be given to the clubs and a final acceptance of the whole thing. So, to that effect, at that moment, if the wording has been like 5 of them have been deemed eligible, and then later on confirmed, that could have changed some of the problems. But these problems were there. It was not like it wasn't there. But now, as we get closer to the matter in hand, it's just becoming a little bit more uh, like on the surface. So yeah, there are few other questions also, which is the Indian football fan is asked, have always been intrigued as to why Chennai City FC left I League midway despite being successful. It's a personal request. Can you shed some light on the reasons and all why this happened? Well,
He's smart.
yeah,
He's smart.
he's
That's
smart.
it.
He won the league, played in Asia, uh, got the team as high as he could go, and then saw the landscape probably being not very conducive
Hmm.
because
And
it a champion team is also losing money in crores.
it's alarming for the ecosystem, because this is a team which got in through corporate entry. Yes, correct me if I'm wrong.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. So a team which spend money to get in through corporate entry shut down in less than 5 years. Are you kidding me? Like, the ecosystem is in shambles, right? The professional
And
club
also,
ecosystem,
they are not a team who spent a lot of money. They used a lot of players from
local
Tamil
players,
Nadu,
yeah,
from
yeah,
Chennai Super Division, and
yeah.
they scouted and got
And they were
players.
really
Lot,
good. They were a
and they,
really good product
mm,
for Indian football. They were
yeah,
really
Nanda,
good.
Michael Susairaj, all went on to different ISL clubs for money. So it was not like
Edwin
Edwin
Sydney
Sydney
Vansfall.
Vansfall, Michael
There,
Regin,
there's so
uh,
many people still
Dhanraj.
playing. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, there
Tawfiq
is quite
Kabir.
a lot
There's
of
so
them.
many
Yeah.
people. Yeah.
So they were very smart in how they ran the club also,
And
and
they're very
still,
smart in how they shut down also.
yeah, and still. So
Yeah.
that it is alarming because, like he mentioned, the corporate team has shut down. A successful corporate team. The previous one, Bharat FC, was a corporate team who shut down quickly. Pune was a first professional team. The tag was given to them. They also shut down pretty quickly, but none of them were successful in terms of winning titles. So
This one won an actual title.
this one won the last proper. first division I League title.
And this one put up a good show in the Super Cup, also losing to the eventual champions FC
Hmm.
Goa.
Yeah,
But then they knocked out a couple of
they knocked out
ISL.
Bangalore FC, who were the ISL champions.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
so
so it's always difficult when a team like that shuts down. Like you think about where we headed, right? But you want to just flash Kostup's question? We can just get Abby in quickly.
Costa, is it early in the
Yeah, right.
the
Yeah, right.
IWL?
Yeah.
Okay, I thought
So
we'll
Kostup
talk about it
asks
when we get there.
Abby,
But okay,
hello,
this
your thoughts on new IW format having 8 teams in Tier 1 and Tier 2?
See, in terms of if we look at it as a format for a league, honestly, it's good, right? Like that is how it's supposed to be. It's supposed to be home and away, 8 teams, blah blah blah. So, if you look at it as a format, it's a good format. But in terms of how effective it will be in terms of how the league is run and how the clubs are able to deal with it, I'm not so sure. At this point in time, clubs do not get sponsorships or investments or anything of that sort from the IWL itself, the whole IWL that we had so far. So if we are dividing it into two tiers and there is no good say sponsorships coming around in terms of broadcast deals or for the clubs if given if the environment is not conducive for them to get say sponsorship deals and everything for second tier it might be slightly more difficult because in the first year we have the big clubs most more or less, so I think they'll be able to run in terms of home and away format. Also, I think they'll be fine. They'll be able to do it. But if you look at the second tier, it might be a bit difficult. The good thing is that they are looking at promotion from the second division to the first division of the IWL. So that's a good thing. That's at least some sort of incentive for the teams. So honestly, it this particular season I feel would be a lot of trial and error thing where we are going to have to see how well everything is run or how the clubs deal with the change in format and home and away conditions, because again home and away brings in a lot of increased cost. So
are you
that is
surprised, Abby, that none of the clubs have spoken up about the fact that they are, in addition to having to pay a premium for the player, to put it in a very crude way, they are also having to do the logistical expenditure as well? Because always IWL was held in central place, and most of the expenditure there in terms of ground was taken care by AIFF.
um, I see. I'm not really surprised because if you see in the clubs who were there in the meeting, no,
Hmm.
I feel they can deal with it more or less. The meeting had what like 5 clubs. They had Gokulam, Kickstart, Hobbs, Setu, and Odisha SC. During the meeting, these are the 5 clubs, and I feel they can kind of deal with it. They are also the ones who are in the first year of the IWL going forward. So, which is why I think there's not a lot of talk around it. But if actually um, people can actually go and talk to the other clubs who are currently in the second tier and gauge what they think about it, they would I'm sure nobody's going to say that no, it shouldn't be like that, it's a bad format or something. Nobody's going to say anything about the format, but logistically it is going to be difficult if you're going to put it home and away, because currently the women's clubs do not have money. It's as simple as that. So, and home and away is a lot of cost because you are going to be traveling on your own expense to other clubs grounds as well. You're going to have to maintain grounds on your expense, so it is a major increase in cost that I am not sure especially the smaller clubs are equipped to deal with at this point in time.
Yes, let's hope that they can figure it out. I think the window is from November to March. There is a question from, I want to say the Vapes. I hope that's the right name. How do we see any team in the ISL breaking even at some point in the future? Broadcast deals are not going to fetch money. as we know about a tricky situation and injunction this. Later on, he has also asked about 10 years and no teams are breaking even. So I think this is a good segue into what we can talk about ISL. And I will tell you one thing: the only team who came close to breaking even, from what I understand, is Northeast United FC, and that's because they ran a very, 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 very tight ship. And yeah, but they were close. I don't think that's the same case anymore. But anyway, Orko, ISL broadcast deals. News has broken. Star
Hmm.
is not interested. Star has openly said in one of the reports, it's been mentioned that they are asking people to asking FSDL to auction out the rights, and they are also a partner in some sense. I mean, not in some sense. They are actually a partner in this whole endeavor. What do you think is the situation here right now?
I think I think we always knew Star was iffy about ISL, and we know that they've been cutting back bets, the massively expensive bets that they've made over the past few years, money losing bets. We know that the India head was removed, replaced as soon as Disney came in. We know that Disney themselves are having some friction with Star, given the amount of losses they're they're having, right? So I mean, not really surprised. Also, you kind of knew that once Sports 18 got into the scene, and Sports 18 is trying to develop itself as a football equivalent, right, to Star and other sports also. So far, pretty decent job. I think Fancode's also doing a pretty decent job, right? Both these, yeah. So you knew that at some point in time Star was going, because you've seen all these properties come up. You know that Star's not really even if they did have an interest in retaining it, you know that somebody will outbid them, right? Suddenly Sony showing interest, which I honestly didn't think would happen, but I mean, uh, everyone's seeing some value in it, right? The Intercontinental Cup seems to have sparked it, but like a lot of our own old community people pointed on Twitter, they said it might be just seasonal fans coming here to, to basic essentially bask in the glory one last time. Uh, so I mean, I'm not really surprised. We can't even say that ISL's viewership's going to go like absolutely go nuclear after this victory. We don't know, because between the Intercontinental Cup and the start of the ISL, there's at least 3-4 good months, right? So we don't know. But
And
breaking even,
generally, there is interest at the start and at the end.
it
It's the
yeah,
middle
yeah,
part
it
that you have
fizzles
to
out,
sustain.
yeah. And listen, it's not just about one game, right? We tend to pick out stats from week one and say, oh, like the viewership is crazy. We've seen those stories, but I mean, for me, it's kind of difficult to see a break-even point, right? Unless one of the bidders bids some crazy money, right? For example, it was the figure 480 CR was being banded around. I don't know, because the Pro Kabaddi League doesn't get half of that money, and they have viewership which is double, triple that on an average of an ISL game, right? So yeah, I mean, tough times. And also like fans haven't really started becoming paying customers of clubs like they
So
do
I can give some details into this part. There is one club in ISL who actually went out of their way to figure out what is the situation with the fans. So they
uh,
reached out to fan clubs, they reached out to their paying
uh,
members,
they did
uh,
surveys.
they did surveys with the
Mhm.
season ticket holders, everything to figure
And
out how they can better associate
good
themselves with
club.
the society,
Hmm.
how they can convert their interest into actual money for
Money.
themselves. They've done all of this and they are working on it. Now, I don't know if it will be a success or not, because it'll take a while for you to figure it out. But this is one club I've heard. I mean, I know one or two who are sort of in that ballpark even before, but a lot of them don't really do a lot of these community based engagement and figuring out how the people who are on Twitter or the people who are watching on TV can become actual paying customers and paying supporters for the club to make some revenue from that side. And One thing that I wanted to bring to attention here is obviously Disney is streamlining a lot of things. Now, if you look at the Star as an entity who's covering and delivering sport, Formula One has gone out to a Formula One platform. They have, I think, only Wimbledon, if I'm not mistaken, from the big tennis tournaments. Most of the other ones are in Sony. Most of their intellectual property is Premier League and cricket in India, IPL. These are the three main ones. Now, even Ashes is in Sony. When India travel abroad, it's mostly in
I
Sony.
IPL is Geo Cinema now.
That's the online thing, no? Star still has
Like
terrestrial
that, yeah.
rights. But IPL is very smart because they know that they will get this many people bidding, so they split it into different components: online, terrestrial, Southeast Asian bidders, and all those. But ISL is nowhere near. But what I think now, if they don't quickly tell who is going to be the next broadcaster, could be Viacom. Like you mentioned, Sony has some interest. I don't know how serious they are. Maybe it's a rumor also. I really don't know. But if they don't do it, ISL clubs are going to have a situation where they also can't attract sponsor. I League clubs have been dealing with this forever because there is no telecast. They just can't attract people because wherever they go, they're like, which channel are you on? It's like in One Sport or in Eurosport or YouTube and all. They really don't care. The people are like, it's not worth our value investing in this. We might as well put that money in Pro Kabaddi League and we'll get more visibility that way. So these kind of situations do come. So for ISL clubs, it is absolutely important that they officially announce or figure out quickly who's going to telecast this. I'm sure there is zero doubt in my mind that they will get a telecast deal. Zero doubt. This is going to be telecasted. And the clubs will also know, the investor will also know. But they need that thing to be announced. Otherwise, they will always dilly dally and, money is a premium in Indian football, especially. So that is about ISL. Let's hope that by the time in another 10 days or a week, we know something more. Before going to the questions, I just wanted to bring one small question up here. It's the Asian Games. I think it's more or less getting resolved now. There was a lot of hoopla which we didn't cover because we all within the group itself have very different and views in our internal communication channel, which is what we will refer to our WhatsApp group. We had long conversations about this. So I wanted to come to Abby first. Asian Games for India not going. What is your general take on this controversy?
See, I think it's something that Orko also tweeted about, and I did agree with him. Like, the last time around, them didn't go, like, the team didn't go, and it made sense because of the series of performances or how um, the just the fact that um, it was the whole scene was very stagnant at that point of time. It's not the case anymore. Yes, there are there are loopholes, there are things here and there. We all keep talking about it on injury time anyway. But the fact is that if you don't give your team competitive games, if you don't give them the opportunity to go out there and perform at the biggest stages, uh, you're never going to give them a chance to improve. It's not going to happen internally. We all know that, and that's something that's extremely obvious, right? Like, you're not going to like sit at home and become better as a footballing nation. You'll have to go out there, lose 1,000 times, and then you'll probably get somewhere. So yeah, I do think that it that is something that if you want, if when we talk about the fact that we want to become a sporting nation, we want to improve as a sporting nation, get better at all sports, and football being the most popular sport in the whole wide world, it's very important that we look at it like that and give our team the chance to go out there, perform, even if they lose. Just go out there, have that, keep having that experience time and again. And like, all we can, honestly, the thing that we can ask from them is seeing what they do on the field, which is very important, which is something that they have to prove every single time they're allowed to go, right? Like, go out there, prove that you deserve that chance. It's as simple as that. At least put your heart out, give good performances, stick to an identity, just go out there and perform. So that is on them. But then a platform needs to be set for them as well to have that kind of zeal to just go and perform. So yeah.
Here is my sit- point of view, right? You have AIFF's president, who's also part of IOC, right, and holding a big position in the IOC as well, and still this has not happened. Now,
Yeah.
if I look at it from a government perspective, they have to fund a lot of this travel. Now, when I spoke to some people in AFF, they said they were willing to fund the travel as long as the permission was given to go. So I think that can be sorted out. But from a government perspective, when they're looking at this, right now, AIFF and Indian football is doing very well. The results have been great. They had this fantastic moment of winning three tournaments and then finishing with this flourish in Bangalore. So there's a lot of goodwill
Yeah.
going in that way. There is a lot of hoopla and everything. And people are getting slightly, slowly excited about Asian Cup that is going to come as well. But in the last 1 year, you've had a situation where your association was banned by FIFA because you did not do anything. And then you had sports ministry cut your funding by a crazy amount because they were asking questions. What have you done to improve the football in the country as a whole? I don't want to hear about your club playing in the AFC Champions League and all. That's not the point. What have you done to improve the sport as a whole? All these questions are still there.
Yeah.
We cannot just look at the fact that we did really well and then could just go ahead and absolutely slam the government saying this is a horrible thing. They did the same in 2018 as well. They did not allow the players to go. There is not, I don't think there is much discussion about the women team at all going to
No,
the
no.
Asian Games. So I'm just playing devil's advocate here. I mean, of course, we would all love Indian team to go there and play. And I think from what I understand, Sunil Chetri Jingan and Gurpreet are going to be the senior players who are going there to play. And then anyway, the kids getting a chance to rub shoulders with some good teams is always great. And we'll also see under 23. I don't think we ever take under 23 as seriously. That is
Yeah.
also another point that I want to bring because just because right now there's a tournament, we are like, oh, under 23. Otherwise, we really don't care much about that. So, this is my 2 cents. And Orko, I know you want to add something to this, so I'm just going to let you.
So I think, like you said, right, where does the Asian Games feature in our priority list, right? Because the manifesto had a lot of goals for a lot of uh, tournaments, right? The manifesto had goals, Asian Cups, World Cups, whatever. Um, where was this outrage when we, and just to put it in context, we did not make the final tournament of the AFC under 23 championships. We did not. And Sandeep, correct me if I'm wrong, 16 teams,
Mm.
right? Yeah, we did not, and we have not in a long time, right? And so this particular exercise, right? Like you said, 2018 we were not allowed. Things were different, right? I mean, and there are for and against points. The 4 points for me are very simple, right? You have two major tournaments coming up. You have the Asian Cup, right? For this thing, for the men. And Roshan JK also makes an important point, and the international break could make it difficult for Stimaches camp. For the women, you have the Olympic qualifiers, which are which are even earlier, right? And they look good this time. They try to make it into round three, so it's difficult, right? Without any game time. Uh, as Twitter user rightly pointed out, we missed the window again this time for the women. And Bangladesh and Nepal, they were playing their women's team. So, but yeah, I mean, we have to first figure out as a footballing nation, as a federation, what is the priority for the Asian Games that we are giving, right? And the logic that they're not top eight doesn't hold because those rankings for senior teams. This is an under 23 for the men. For the women are ranked 10th, right? You're saying 8th, they're ranked 10th. But they've not had the best luck when it comes to scheduling matches or playing in them. They missed out on the Asian Cup at home. Like that's bound to be kick in the teeth, right? They don't get a lot of opportunities to play, right? Even because with the men's team's rising profile, you can still see us pulling off a couple of friendlies in the near future, right? And it is going to happen. We are going to play one big team or the other. Someone's going to say, "Oh, the women played Brazil." Yes, the women played Brazil, Chile, and all, but that was a long time ago, right? So, the women usually don't get these chances. So,
Also, that was before the Asian Cup, so that played a part.
yeah,
And then we didn't play the Asian Cup.
then we didn't play the Asian Cup. So yeah, I mean, see, we're not saying the Indian women also going to uproot any trees, because the three countries from Asia, three, four countries are playing in the Women's World Cup that is currently ongoing, right? We are not one of those countries. In fact, five, six countries are playing from Asia, including Vietnam and all, right? So so my only point is this. So I mean, they go, it's good. Would definitely like for them to go, but if they don't, there are other ways, right? And the money is not, it's not a credible argument, because Sai gives the, and MYS, they give a lot of money to the federation, right? So this is chump change in comparison to what the money that they received from MYS year upon year, right? Diska, as you rightly said, Sandeep, the cost cutting from the sports ministry side was there because they couldn't justify what was happening to this funding, right? So I mean, sure, I mean, I personally, this time, last time our stance was that they were absolutely right in not sending them. This time, like I said, because of the two tournaments coming up, and because there's always a lack of quality preparatory matches, it might have been good to send them this time.
I mean, we are hearing stories, reports that the men's team at least is likely to go. So let's hope that will happen. Before we end, we'll just move to some questions. We have question from Bharadwaj Reddy. I don't know the answer, so I'm going to give this to you. What is the position of the stadium in Delhi? Three clubs going for it.
Yeah, we're hearing three clubs, uh, but let's see. We know Delhi FC definitely want to play, but we don't know if they're going to try and change base. We know RUFC is one, that might. We know that there is some construction going on in Rajasthan, right? Modification stadium, but it may not come in time for this. Yeah, and yeah, Round Glass Punjab are likely to play from because of how stringent the ISL's license. Also, they've passed licensing with the JLN Stadium, I believe, right? And yeah, I mean, let's see. There's a fourth team.
Yeah,
Uh,
you never know if some of the high league teams from the Northeast can't play there. You really don't know where they're going to play.
yeah,
There
yeah,
is always that.
yeah. And Delhi also has a very largish northeast community. So, I mean, definitely there's some sort of solace there, but they might just play in Guwahati, which makes more sense for them.
Uh,
Also, in here, given the current situation of how much it rained in Delhi and the Yamuna water coming up and everything, there's going to, I think the JLN, given its location, would be fine as of now as a ground. But both Chhattisal and Ambedkar would perhaps need work in terms of what the situation of the ground might be.
Okay. So next question is from Akash P. Nayak. Clubs can't be profitable if they don't work on grassroots. Develop good players and sell them to big clubs. Am I right or wrong? There is some semblance of. I mean, there is truth here because a lot of Northeast clubs do end up sending a lot of players. But before a rule that came up recently, they used to lose players. They didn't get any development money also. But even then, they probably won't be able to break even. Is my guess.
I mean, the worldwide clubs don't depend on transfer fees to break even. They don't, like, when maybe like one or two clubs who have the occasional transfer. For example, Gabriel Martinelli, when he moved to Arsenal, literally saved his club, because they were a fourth division club in Brazil, fourth or third division club in Brazil, right? So there are those like cases, but uh,
If you have a bunch of, like Southampton, for example, if you have a bunch of players that you can sell on, it helps a lot,
still,
but
I
not
mean,
as much in India because
no,
our
no,
transfer
still,
fees are not great.
okay. So here's the thing, right? Um, 80K maybe paying 4 3 3 CR for a. So no foreign club is coming and picking up players, right?
Hmm.
At that cost, like at $400,000, no, nobody's doing it, right? From India. Okay, that's crystal clear. Now, if ATK or some other club is losing 30 CR every year, right? You're saying they have to sell 10 players for 3 CR, and
They
Mumbai and
won't
India,
break even. I'm saying it will help.
it will help.
Yeah, it's
It
all.
will help, but at the end of the day, what helps are your fans. Like
Yeah,
apart from
success and
apart
fans.
from prize money and transfers, right, which are uh, game based incentives, right? Everything else depends, like sponsorship, broadcast, merchandise, gate receipt, like you name it, and everything comes down to the consumer, that is a fan, right?
Absolutely.
uh, right now what's happening is, not only is the fan just that, like casual, right? Fanatics spend money on clubs, casuals don't, right?
Yeah.
I've seen this in Indian stadium and seen this with extended family also. Them asking me, hey, can we get two tickets, right? And two tickets for them is nothing, it's like 400 or 500 or 600 bucks, right? They spend 8,000 bucks on a dinner or a 6,000 bucks on a dinner, right? There's nothing. But this mindset has to change, right? So sports is free. Oh, free jersey, free tickets, like, and ISL clubs and I League clubs and a lot of other clubs have to give away majority of their tickets, a lot, not majority, but a lot of their tickets, substantial amount to, as freebies to keep people happy and all of that. And it's just very difficult, guys. It's just very difficult. The IPL also essentially is riding on the wave that is broadcast money,
But
right?
people pay a lot of money to watch IPL
Yeah,
also.
yeah. People
So
pay a lot of money to watch IPL. People pay a lot of money to become title sponsors of the
so
IPL,
yeah,
right? A
yeah,
title sponsorship for an IPL franchise can go up more than 25-30 cr, right? Which is the ISL clubs lost in an instant. And then there are the other, the central revenue pool for broadcast and everything else, right? So I mean, and also the IPL, I mean, they're running a sustainable model, guys. They're spending as much as that is coming in, so
yeah.
that is also there. We are spending way more than what is coming in.
Yes. Bharataj ready. Another question, Abby. I'll come to you with this. Views on World Cup qualifying draw on the 27th. You can't hear?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Can you guys hear me now?
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. Uh, so if we, of course, it's going to be. We'll have to see what India gets out of it, right? Like, um, I particularly feel we'll have to wait and see where we fall, and it's going to be difficult. It is always difficult for India. So
Okay. It's always difficult for India. That can be the tagline of the show. Uh, why aren't we, the Indian football fan is asking, why aren't we seeing clubs from North India, which has a host of talent pool, not coming up to play I League, ISL? Why are the clubs strongly concentrated in the South and East region? I think you guys might be more well equipped to answer this than me. So I'm just
Yeah,
you go.
yeah.
Because you
Um,
were, just so people know, they actually were part of a club that they were in the system. So I think they'll be able to give a good answer.
I think in general, North India is a very difficult market to crack, right? Um, you have a lot of corporates, for sure, right? But not a lot of corporates who are interested in football, right? I can also safely say this, that North India's the country's most cricket crazy region of all the regions. Like if I assume that the country has six regions: the north, south, west, central, and northeast. Uh, it is the north which is the most cricket crazy easily. Secondly, like I said, corporates have to see the societal value in. It's not like there aren't corporates who can run, but in general, right? And guys, for anybody new coming in, right, we're talking about five bids that came in, and now we're talking that only two might materialize. So it's just tough. It's just tough. The ecosystem has to be conducive, right? We can't say that, we can't just put pressure on investors. See a lot of Indian fans tweeting to Mahindra saying, "Please, sir, do something in football." He is, I think, he's somewhere tied up to Ladakh, one Ladakh FC, I think. But that is pretty much it. That is pretty much it. So it's not going to it's not going to do it. It's not as easy as just saying people should start a club and people will. It's not that easy.
Also, it the no essentially, I it's important to understand that the culture of North India is very job oriented. Everyone's just looking for a balanced, normal, basic life. We have to understand the innate culture of the people in North India, which is different in terms of the sporting culture. So that plays a huge part in how conducive the environment it is. It's still very difficult to get through to parents in North India and say that sport is very, very important. So, I mean, these are nuanced societal things that obviously play a huge part in why certain regions are not up there in terms of the footballing landscape.
Yes, yeah, you can always add more nuance, like she mentioned, the traffic of it all, the speed of life in these cities, all of that make a massive difference, and general interest in sport as well. What do you make? Ritan Basu is asking, what do you make of the Galacticos era at Mohan Bagan? This question is specifically for Abhi. So,
It's competition. I think Mumbai City FC and Mohan Bagan, they're at war, right? Like, you
at
can look at it
Mumbai,
like,
there is a method to that madness.
I no no I completely agree to that, and which is why honestly Mohan Bagan has to go out of their way to kind of make things happen, because at this point in time Des is doing an exceptional job. I mean, I love Juan as well, but what Des is doing at Mumbai City FC is very grounded. So what they are at this point of time looking to compete in terms of getting a host of, it is it is the era of Barcelona and Florentino Perez trying to break through that.
But
It
this
is
is
it is that feel at Mohan Bagan right now, because essentially, if you look at it in terms of money and in terms of competition, it is right now, it is between the two of them. So they're just looking at ways to make sure that they can rub it in MCFC's face, pretty
I
much.
think there are two things that I think. Okay, I'm just adding. Sorry, Ritan, if you don't want my opinion, but I'm just going to give it anyway. Mohan Bagan are really, I think, going to go for the AFC Cup this year. They're building a squad. There is relaxation in foreign player rules. If you look at the whole thing, they've got really good foreign players. They're signing even more expensive ones this year. They've signed Thapa and Sahal already, both pretty much playing in the similar position. They already have Liston and Manveer and all of them. I don't know how they are going to figure out the whole thing, but there is a feeling, and after talking to some people, I do feel like that is true. But Mohan Bagan and to an extent East Bengal have always been these teams who sign stars. Orko and I had a huge discussion recently for hours with another person in the midst where we were talking about the Kolkata clubs and their, you know, whatever they gave to Indian football and the way they are run and all. I won't say the whatever we discussed because most of that I think I'll be abused for it. But but there is the thing that Bagan and East Bengal also to an extent have always gone for the top players. I mean, Sony Node used to earn so much money, way more than most people used to earn. So they've never been shy on spending cash. Now they are spending at a very high level,
Yeah.
and they're making an absolute mockery of what is the on paper salary cap. and
I'm,
spending and
I'm
everything.
sorry, that is also the whole thing is also making Indian football very tough space
Hmm.
in for other clubs to compete with, and because the salaries have become so high that the inflation is insane in terms of the market.
Yes, absolutely. Banuj has said the Calcutta Football League 2023 already got 35,000 paid subscribers in sport, and already increasing. Oh, I don't know about that, but if that is the case, fantastic. We would expect nothing less from the Calcutta crowd, who are absolutely in love with their football. So, yeah, kudos to them.
Again, it's the
Oh,
culture. It is why we need to nurture these spaces as much as people would love to see the pan India thing and football reaching everywhere and all that sort of thing.
We have to
The
solidify our
existing
basis. Yeah, we have to
yeah,
solidify
the
our existing
existing
basis.
culture needs to be solidified
Solidify.
first for anything to go beyond that, really.
Biggest example is Delhi.
Biggest example would be Mizo Premier League, because they got a as a local league, they got telecast in Sony.
Yeah, I'll tell you why I'm saying Delhi, right? And the Mizo Problem is a more recent thing.
Hmm.
Over 50, 60 years, Delhi still has a great culture, and I'm just tying it to the North India question that somebody asked. All right, Delhi has a great culture. There are people who are willing. There are people who are working on the ground very hard, right? But when they see that in order to get into Delhi C division, you have to pay 10 lakh. I mean, people are just automatically put off, boss. People are not, it's not easy. It's not easy. 10 lakh is what? 10 lakh is double of what our annual budget used to be. And Abesh Min again,
रिटर्न नहीं है ना हाँ नहीं and also not just as it in terms of anybody investing into something wants something in return no the return is not there
no,
so
and,
आपका expenditure आप उतना नहीं मांग सकते हो जितना आप उनको return में you will not give it to them right
and exactly. And one part of culture is broad based in the game, trying to get as many people into the ecosystem. Here we are making it more, uh, we are making it more exclusive, right? We're trying to exclude people from playing it at the grassroots level, right? It's 10, 15, and from the for the top division, direct entry I'm hearing is 50 lakh. I mean, okay, fine. Direct division, whoever wants to enter, ठीक है. But if I want to enter the base level, it can't be 10 lakh, boss. It's that is nuts. And I don't think the AFF can do anything because legally the state associations are not subsidiaries. They are independently registered trusts with their own governing bodies and all of that. Right? They can, yeah, they
But
are
at the
essentially
same time, there are other states like in Karnataka where it's much cheaper to get in, where
Karnataka.
with nominal
I have
amount with
heard,
C division.
I have heard it's only 5,000 rupees to
Yeah,
play the lowest,
yeah, yeah.
lowest
See,
division.
walk
It's
into
just
C division. They have over 100 clubs in C division.
that is fantastic.
Yeah,
That is amazing, right? It's not like this. This is a mess. I mean,
yeah. Hey, so Roshan has asked, another international break for ISL could make it difficult for Stimas to ask 4 weeks for a camp. I think they will get 3 weeks. I'm hearing that the camp is going to be, I mean, the break for ISL rather is going to be 3 weeks. That's, but it's not confirmed yet. But essentially, it looks like that is, it's neither here nor there. You're not getting four that you asked for. You're not getting two that the league apparently said that they will give. So it's somewhere in the middle. I think fair enough. Is there any investors in Hyderabad FC? Not that I've heard. Have you guys heard anything?
yes, I mean we've been hearing it. That there are
They
new
have got investors.
they have got, but there's nothing confirmed yet. So I mean I'd hold off before before saying it. I mean they were supposed to have got some from the UAE, not now, some time back. But you know how these things work. These things take some time coming in, like due diligence and everything. It can take up to a year sometimes to finish this. So I won't hold my breath, but yeah, we hope the things do get sorted really quick.
So Carefree Gokulam is asking anything on the women's national team head coach.
Denerby, we haven't heard that Denerby is going to come back. As far as we know, Denerby's
yeah
contract is up, and
it's
we
up
know that Anthony is in the running. We know that there have been talks We know that the technical committee is also given the go ahead. So uh, let's see.
Any
I
thoughts on
think
Mumbai's new crest? Oh, sorry, Abhi.
no, no. I was just saying. I think it because the talks are going on. It will be with Gokulam as well. So I mean, that whole thing will take a bit of time. So I think that's why the delay. I won't really call it a delay though. It just feels like that because they lose out on windows and don't go out and play. But I mean, these things usually do take a bit of time.
Any thought on Mumbai's new crest? I really don't have any thoughts on it, so I won't ask you. No thoughts? Okay. We'll
I think
move
they
on.
can do whatever they want to
Yeah.
do.
Yeah,
So
this
this is interesting. I want to bring this to your notice. Don Ravistan has asked thoughts on Durand Cup fixtures and the timing. Who are favorites for Durand Cup? Can Papa Manolo win it? Can I just say one thing? It is amazing that how these draw somehow miraculously always put Bangalore FC and Kerala Blasters in the same group. Just say. I mean, if that draw is really must want the
full
blockbuster match.
full milking is going on.
I'm just saying, it may very well be that the draw came like that, but I just find it a little difficult.
Also, all of this makes sense right now, right? And I know I should probably venture into his question and give him an answer, right? Don Ravi Stan, but we don't even know who's sending their first team and who's not. We have no freaking idea, right? So until unless it becomes a regular occurrence that all ISL teams are sending, then I think it makes sense to make any predictions. But for now, if Goa, we don't even know Goa continue with their tradition of sending the strongest possible. But if they do, Manolo's not going to take it easy. They've started preseason already. There are photos that have already started coming in. So Carlitos arrived. He put a tweet today. So yeah, it'll be great, if they win it. And yeah, don't rule them out at all. I mean, he's built a solid squad. So
Yes. Yes, Three Musketeers are back. That's nice to see.
yeah,
There is a question from the Indian football fan again. Thoughts on Chennai and FC? Haven't heard about them being among the clubs with internal issues, all that concerning stuff.
I have
Anyone,
news for you,
that's
buddy.
that's
I have,
because
I have, I have so much news for you, buddy. But
any mention about them and their upcoming season prep would be appreciated. So,
I
uh,
mean, skipping past the first bit of the comment about clubs with internal issues and all, maybe you and me can one day catch up and can give you a download at the Indian football fan. But um, I don't know. I mean, we're seeing that a lot of teams are finishing the business before Chennai, right? Uh, Owen Call is back. That's a good sign. But seems to be they have a plan in mind, getting the players, but can't say because you don't even know if Coily is coming back to the same league that it was. Like it's definitely going to be more competitive than when he had that magical run with them to the final or led Jamshedpur to the league title. It's going to be tough, and I have a feeling because they lost Thapa also lost the talisman. So
they lost
until
the
then,
other long-standing members also, Edwin Cindy, Vance Paul, people
right,
like
it
that who
is,
had a connection with the city and with the fans and everything. They have
yeah,
lost
yeah,
quite a bit.
yeah. I mean, I don't want to dampen CFC fans because they are a vocal lot, right? So can only wish them the best. But honestly, guys, it I mean, I've looked at who the favorites for the ISL are. Uh, won't yet put you guys among that. I
I
think for you guys,
think I
after
I would
finishing,
just say
they finished 2 seasons or 3 seasons, 8-8, right? Or is it 2 seasons,
two
eighth and
seasons.
eighth? 2 seasons, eighth and eighth, right?
No, 3 seasons.
Yeah.
They last reached the semi-final, the final under Owen Coyle.
Season six, where they lost to ATK, right?
Yeah, Owen Coyle. I don't know six and all. 2019, I think, or
Yeah.
2020.
So 8-8-8. It's a hat trick of eights. Should just be happy making it to the playoffs this time.
Yeah. So there were some questions about the Champions League this year. I haven't honestly paid too much attention to what teams are potentially in our side, but I think it's a big draw anyway. So let's hope that some Saudi Arabian club will come here. We can get to watch some fancy teams to play. I don't think that's happening, but still. One question coming for you, Orko from Roshan. It is who do you think Goa will miss most after the rebuild? I don't understand the question properly. Do you understand?
I mean, he might be saying that some people left Goa.
Oh,
Um, I think
but
this
I will say,
season.
while you think about it, I'm going to say this about Goa. I think Goa this year has gone full. There is no excuse, right? They've always been a team that was building to something bigger, and they would build and have a great season, and then just missed in finals and things of that nature. This year, they have gone for players who are ready to win now. They have got the best manager in the league, or among the best managers in the league. Um Everything is pointed at them going for the title.
Hmm.
After the last couple of seasons where they haven't done as well, I think they have put all the eggs in this basket, and it's going to be, I won't say a make or break season, but a big um, gamble from their part. Like I'll come to Abby. What do you think of this statement from me?
It, of course, it's a gamble, but I do think that uh, getting Manolo was something that they were looking at for some
Couple of
time
years.
now,
Yeah, yeah.
and yeah, and I do think they're a good match as a club and as a manager. So I do think that there can be like good stuff in the store, and we may hopefully see Goa as we are used to seeing. We have been used to seeing them in the past few years.
Yes. Orko, anything about who they are going to miss the most?
I think Gorachena left, and he could have been an interesting fit even in this new one. Of course, they say he had some personal issues, something, but I
Anwar
think,
Ali.
yeah. Sorry,
Anwar Ali.
yeah, Anwar Ali,
Yes.
yeah, Anwar Ali. There's something going to miss because you don't get Indian. I mean, obviously he's the best Indian centre back currently, so I mean, it was always going to be difficult replacing Anwar Ali. They've got Jingan. They've got Jing in mind. They've got the other starting Indian centre back. They've lost one. They've got the other one. But Anwar Ali is just. I mean, and no offense to Jingan. Jingan's a great competitor in his own right, but he's just younger. Anwar hungrier, right?
Dead
Like,
balls. He can take free kicks. He can pass, spray the ball around from the back, which
yeah,
something Manolo wants to do.
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I mean, Jingan will add his own elements, the spirit and the leadership and the fighting and,
Hmm.
all those
Yeah. So
experience.
yeah. So it
But
has to be Anwar Ali only, I suppose.
yeah, so I think that was he wanted to finish it on 45 minutes dot, but since there were so many questions, we were very happy to oblige. And since we do this once in a while, I think it is only only fair. Somebody asked me what are the plans for injury time. Yeah, try. We will figure it out. The biggest challenge of late has been to get everybody at one
Yeah.
point in time to get the show done, because we are all working in sort of dynamic situations here. So yes. Anyway, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for watching. Please click the subscribe button, because I think we are over 900 now. We want to get to 1,000 as quickly as possible, and then do whatever else we can with that as well. So uh, please do all the needful, and we will always try to tell you the truth. We will not hype anything up either. So you so you can take that to the bank. And
Who do you think has potential to play in Europe from current Indian setup? Difficult to say because Europe is such a large-ish market, but I really wish Changte had given it a shot, like given the level he's at currently.
yes, and on that bombshell, thank you so much for listening. Subscribe, like, share, do all the good things that God intended you to do. So on that and on that note, thank you and good night.